and welcome to Family Matters. I'm so glad that you could join us. On this show, we discuss various issues that affect human relations. And to help me discuss this, I have Liz and Mike Ngware. Welcome. Today, we are discussing how to find a partner in this .com era. Liz, what do we mean by .com era?
.com era simply means we are discussing issues in terms of information era, and it's a time where we are looking at all trends of how people are dating and courting these days.
And when in discussing this, who exactly do you have in mind? Who's our target
Our
audience?
target audience is anyone who is willing to get married, be it those that are remarrying and those that have never been married.
Then without really going into it, but how about people who are cohabiting, Mike?
Cohabiting is not a theme that we are dealing with right now. We believe it needs its own time and treatment.
Okay, but in as much as we're not dealing with it from a pastoral perspective, does the Bible say anything about cohabiting?
At best, it is prohibited.
Yes.
It's not encouraged.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, what I want to find out from you, since we're discussing finding a life partner in this .com era, as you look at it, do you think that marriage is as popular now as it was then?
I want to say it's popular, yes, and at the same time, no.
Okay.
I'm saying yes because when you look at people today, young people, those that want to remarry, those that have been bereaved and they are looking forward to getting married, they put all their hearts to wanting to get someone they can call a husband or a wife. And if you go to a wedding setup, you'll find people are so excited that it's a wedding day, meaning it's still very popular.
Yeah.
And I've said no.
Yes.
Because today you have people who do not want to get committed, people who find sex readily available out there, and there's no reason why they want to get into a marriage setup. Some feminists, they actually tell you that a marriage is a literal prison, and they discourage it. They are saying it is one way of making a woman be confined to a life of a literal imprisonment.
Yeah.
So to some people, it is no longer common.
Yeah. Mike, any thoughts on this?
Yes. I basically think that it depends with the region. Sometimes, maybe people in Asia can still value marriage as they used to do traditionally.
Yeah.
And maybe people in the Western world have already shifted their focus in terms of importance of marriage. Like Liz is talking about sex being available. And for today, in the Western world, bearing children does not need someone to be married.
Yeah, but okay, let's bring it back home then.
Yes.
Obviously, in your work, you get to talk to many young couples, get to go for many weddings.
Yes.
In Africa, is it as popular as it was back then?
The challenge with Africa is we tend to lean on the Western side.
That's right.
I think the Westernization is catching up with us.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, while we are on that, then I'd want to know from both of you that how, back in the days, how was it done? How did you select life partners, Liz?
The traditional way back then was that the whole community will be involved, where you would find you are not the child of your father and mom only, you are a child to anyone in the community, and hence anyone elderly would give you advice as to how to choose or select a life partner. You would find that grannies, grandpas, grandmas, uncles and aunts, and even anyone within the community would suggest that, hey, there's this lady or there's this guy.
Yeah.
At times, they would not even give you an option to select. They would do what is called arranged marriage, where they would come up two families and they would decide this is what we would want for our young girl and for our young man. And without you knowing, you already have a spouse.
And you have no choice but to go with that.
Yes.
Mike?
I think just to add to what Liz is talking about, proximity played a very important role. Like people would marry from the same community and maybe people marry from the same school. So when we're looking at traditional forms, we look at people who still appreciate marrying somebody they know, who is coming from the same neighborhood, or we've been to school together. These are the traditional, and including also the idea of the family being involved in it.
Out of curiosity, how many years have you been married now? How many years?
We've been married for 32 years
32 good years.
Yeah.
And how did you meet? How you share that with the viewers?
For us, it's quite interesting. I was working with a sister, Sylvia, and time and again would meet at their house. At that point, Liz was not going to church yet.
Okay.
But on this wonderful day at church, I meet the young lady as she was coming to church, dressed, with that afro head back those days.
Yeah, the afro.
I just looked at this woman. I said, no, this one is mine. So basically for us, we made a church.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you meet at church, and then how did you take it to a level where you say, you know what, Liz, I would like to date you?
Meeting at church, it did not just start with, now I want to date this
Of course.
one. We had to develop some kind of rapport, doing activities together, going out on some errands together on behalf of the church and stuff like that. And slowly, the momentum gathered. But in my heart, I knew it was love at first sight. When I looked at it, I said, no, this one
is
is
the
mine.
one.
Yes.
And Liz, you spoke about how back in the days, families used to be involved in relationship. Was this the same experience for you? I mean, how did you go about it? Now Mike comes and says, Liz, look, I like you. Then from there, what happens?
It was the same experience, Sunny.
Yeah.
With me, what happened was we did not become a boyfriend and a girlfriend from the onset.
Right.
We became friends first. And because he was already coming to my house, working together with my sister, it was very easy for us, and even for me to now, when he started saying, let's go out, from the onset, I involved my father.
Yes.
My father was an old-fashioned man,
Yeah.
but very friendly, because I grew up as an orphan with no mother, and my father took the option of being our friend and our trainer. So in everything, you would allow me to bring my boyfriend at home, and you would talk and play with him as well. Actually, they were much closer from the onset.
Yes.
So it was quite interesting for us.
That's interesting. You being close to the father. I mean, usually the father is a no-go area. How did you manage that?
Yes. For me, let me just say, because you're talking about the traditional form and the family being involved.
Yes.
My father was a hard nut. He overly supervised my every date, which lady I meet, and he wanted to have a say. He wanted to be the one to recommend, the one to approve. So falling in love with Liz, because Liz is coming from a background where she was not going to church herself, and my father was not very much convinced whether she would really make a serious Christian. And Liz's father is kind of drinking, smoking, and the brothers are doing the same. And my father says, son, you cannot do that. Let's choose another family. These guys drink and so forth. So I had to do a lot of fighting to convince him that, Dad, I want a woman I love, a woman I'm convinced in, somebody I believe in. So for me, it was a bit rough, because then the family played a major role in terms of who do you date.
But here you are, 32 years later, and she's a pastor's wife.
I don't regret even a day.
That's right.
Yeah.
You mentioned, Liz, how you didn't just immediately start dating, but became friends first.
Yeah.
How important is that in forming relationships?
It is very, very important, even in this .com era, that before you engage or commit yourselves to being lovers, be friends.
Yeah.
Because when you are friends, there's no secret. You share things. You are able to know this person in their rightful state.
Yes.
There is no pretense of wanting to be appreciated by me, because they are friends. So I think it's very, very important for you to become friends and continue on a friendly basis than just wanting to fall in love.
Mike, any thoughts on friendship before dating? What do you think about that?
Friendship, they say take time to know her.
Yes.
Take time to know somebody. Then we did not just want to, you meet this lady for the first time, and the next thing is you are proposing for love. No, you need a time to know who this person is. Where are they coming from? What is their background and stuff like that? What is it that I like about them? And then friendship then allows you to see what you need to see in a relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, you spoke about introducing your partners to family from the very onset.
Yeah.
As a young person in this .com era, the concern then would be, you know what, I can't keep every month I go with a new boyfriend, next month somebody different, because eventually you look like you are, to put it in a way, loose You know, that's the term that they would use. How would you deal with such a case? Because we talk about the .com era, it's reality. People meet somebody this week, next week you're not interested, you meet somebody. Do you keep introducing a partner to your parents?
I think...
Okay, please.
Sorry, Liz. I think there's a difference between introducing friends
Yes.
and introducing an affair.
Right.
This month you have an affair, and then you come again next month you have another affair. I think that's not what we're talking about. But when we have got church friends, mom and dad, this is my friend. We church together, and we had no problem over that.
Right.
But if each time you are bringing a new relationship, I think a parent will say, wait a minute, I think we have a problem with this.
Yes. Liz, you're going to...
I wanted to say it's very important to start being friends with your parents way before the age of dating, so that when you are now in the dating age, there is nothing much that has changed. So it helps you to be open with mom, to be open with dad, as to your friends that you are bringing home, even if it means that you are going to change from this boyfriend or this girlfriend to another one. Together, you'll be looking at the reasons why you are going to change. Because you cannot be fixed to say, I have to just stick to this person because I've introduced them to your mom. As you walk the journey of love, you see some things that are not common with you that may then allow you to say, I have to stop this dating. It's not working. This courtship is not working.
Yeah. I think back then, and I'm sure some people are still doing it even now, dating was more of a group activity.
Right.
You know, when you're dating Liz, you're dating the whole family. So to speak.
Right.
And you also have got your buddies, your friends. You get the point. They look at Liz and they'll tell you, hey, Mike, she's a good chick, she's a good lady, and what have you. So everybody gets interested. It's like a community affair. You get the point?
Yes.
So there's this joy in the olden traditional ways of doing, where dating, courtship, and even marriage itself becomes a community affair. Everybody has an interest in what you're trying to develop.
Right.
Yes.
Now, I want to ask you, because your parents as well, you've spoken about how, for me as a young person, I must take initiative to tell my parents about this partner that I found in my life that I'm trying to get to know better.
Yes.
But then how do you also help the parents? Because sometimes parents in this day can be difficult.
Yes.
But how do they accept that, this is my child, I must be open with them?
Like I've said, it starts while you're growing as a young lady or as a young boy to build friendship with your parents. When you are free, you are able to say anything. You don't have to memorize how you are supposed to approach your parent. And as a parent, I must also realize that my child is growing.
Yes.
I must go back to the age she was or he was to say, at that age, I also started dating. And I must allow my child to be as open as possible. Because look, if you become so restrictive as a parent, you are making your child to hide and you won't know what's happening in their life.
Exactly.
And you will only be shocked at the last minute to hear that I am pregnant.
Yes.
And you wonder, what has been happening?
Yeah. Just hold that thought. We need to go to a break now. Please don't go away. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to Family Matters. If you've just joined us, we're discussing finding a life partner in this .com era. Liz, before the break, we were discussing how you found a life partner back in the days. What has changed now?
A lot has changed, Sunny. you want to realize that now we talked of information era. People are now meeting on online dating, that's on the internet, and people also use other varieties like WhatsApp. There are quite a trend of ways people are now meeting for dating and for courting. And these are the changes that we are realizing today.
Yeah. Right.
Yes, like we were saying back then, or in the traditional way, people tend to want to date people they know.
Yeah.
But the internet is connecting us now to totally strange people that we have not met before.
Yeah.
So this is now opening a big window so that at least if I'm in Zimbabwe, I'm able to date somebody in China, somebody in Russia, somebody in the UK. There are no limits to dating now.
And also, I mean, I know now I don't necessarily have to tell you as a parent that I'm dating somebody or I'm engaged or getting married. In fact, I can tell you after I get married. That's
True.
now what any thoughts about that?
It's very true, Sani, that you are seeing trends like that happening, where because of internet, we are saying networkings have become so open to everyone. At the end of the day, they meet. The world has become a little global village, and they discuss the way they want to do their things. Mom and dad are sometimes taken as old-fashioned, and they are not consulted. At the end, they will only tell you, like you're saying, Mom, we got married yesterday. And it's happening only when you find that they are already in a relationship. If they want, that's when they can
Come and tell you.
That's true. And these are the things that are happening today.
Yeah.
So just to add on that, sometimes you'd find in the traditional way, there's an intermediate, somebody who connects you.
Yeah.
Hey, there's this lady here, there's this guy here, and stuff like that. But today, the internet just takes you direct to the person that you want.
And talk about internet dating. And I know for most people it becomes a secret. If I'm doing it, I don't necessarily go about telling people that what I'm searching for somebody.
Yes.
What can you say about internet dating in this .com era?
Internet dating has its advantages, Sani.
Yeah.
For example, within just a click, you can meet as many people that are also interested in dating, who are looking for someone to call my partner or my spouse. And because of that availability of information, we find our people today are no longer restricted into the traditional ways of doing things. And it has caused also some people to be very, very open-minded, where intermarriages now are so common. Unlike then, Mike has just said they will marry within the same community or from the same tribes. Because of internet, we are finding so many intermarriages that are taking place in this .com era.
Mike, internet dating, your thoughts about that? I mean, something that I'm sure you guys didn't do back then.
Yeah, we didn't.
All of a sudden, it's in your face.
Yes. I think with the traditional way of dating, sometimes it's very easy at a particular age to run out of options.
Of course.
Maybe you are situated at a remote corner, there's no one there, and maybe because of color and because of race, you are just a minority in that corner, and your options for dating are very much limited. But what internet has done is to defy boundaries, so that even if you find yourself in a remote corner, far away from everybody else, you go to the internet and you can find age mates, you can find calls, you can find people that possibly suit your preferences around the world. So the internet has just opened the whole world to anyone who has an interest to date or to choose a partner.
All right, you've spoken about the advantages of internet dating. What are the disadvantages or maybe things that we need to be wary of if you engage in that kind of dating?
One other thing that we need to be very wary of is that sometimes a lot of people, they put facades.
Right.
There's a lot of pretense when you are talking to someone online.
Yeah.
The makeup and everything that they put may cover who this real person is, such that at the moment of real offline meeting, where you are now meeting offline, you may discover for 3 months, 6 months, I've been dating someone who I really don't like.
Yeah.
And because of that, you find it causes a lot of slowdown of developing a relationship. There's also danger where you find sometimes you've been dating an abuser where some people today have been found dead when they now meet offline. They are raped or even killed. These are some of the dangers that you'll find on online.
Yeah, Mike?
Yes. I think any relationship that is not managed offline will have its own challenges. So if you pick your date online, there is an importance of then meeting on a one-to-one basis, because if that doesn't happen, it's not probable that you'll be very successful just managing your relationship. You met it online, you manage it online. When you then come on a face-to-face, and the first time you are meeting is on the pulpit, when the marriage officer is marrying you, you are destined for big surprise. It may work with others, but chances are you may find it very difficult to manage.
And I can't talk for other continents, but I know here in Africa, when you now decide to go on internet, it becomes like a walk of shame. It's the last resort. You fail to find somebody in church, you fail to find somebody at camps. How can we help the young people to realize that no, there's nothing wrong with this thing? It's a global village, and you can find a perfect mate for yourself there. How can you deal with that?
I think that's a mentality that can be still held by those that treasure traditional ways of doing things. But realistically, you'll find that there is nothing wrong in meeting online, because it is opening doors that you may not find when you are just within your small community. But as he has said, after you meet online, try by all means to maintain and grow your relationship offline, where you have this close contact and where you can be able to see and really understand the person that you are dating offline with no pretense. So it is a matter of us being able to say, we have met, the online was a database. Now I need to be realistic as we grow this development.
Maybe let me just pull your leg a little bit. The Bible does not say you shall find your mate at school, or you shall find them in Zimbabwe or in Africa or somewhere else. There's a tendency sometimes among Christians of wanting to Christianize our cultures and then equate them as if these are biblical norms. Yes, the Bible does not say you shall not find somebody on the internet. It has nothing, it did not even comment about that. But what it says is knowledge in the last days is going to increase. So we cannot stop benefiting from knowledge if it is being available.
Talking about knowledge, then obviously, I mean, we always wish that we had a book or something that helps us to be able to find partners for ourselves. Are there any guidelines that obviously you've gathered over the years that can help young people to select life partners?
Yes, Sunny. What we would want also to give guidelines on is when you are on online search, it is important for you to search for creditable websites, so that you are not using websites that may not be fully accreditable. It is very important to do that. So the guidelines I can give also is, as a woman or as a young man who wants to get married, you must first of all have principles. You must have values yourselves that you are there to. Love yourself first, because you cannot give what you don't have. You expect to be loved, but before you be loved, love who you are, accept who you are, and then you can be able to search for a spouse that can be a long-term spouse.
I'd like to say that there is no culture and there is no society that invented marriage. Marriage was invented by God. And therefore, it's very important for anyone who's going to marry or remarry to go back to the Blue Book and find out exactly how does God want to do it. So prayer is very important. Getting into the Bible and find out the values and the beliefs that are attached to marriage is very important. So I believe Jesus says, anyone who wants to build a house, if you want to build it on the rock, then the words that he has taught, and if we follow the words and keep them, we are bound to build very strong marriages. Yes.
And I'm sure in your discussions and counseling young people, there are things that maybe you have picked that don't help in finding a life partner as you talk to us. I'm sure you can tell that, Sunny, this is not going to help you. What are some of those?
I think to be desperate, Sunny, is a situation that can lead you to serious problems.
Right.
A friend of mine once said, never go or visit a restaurant when you're very hungry, when you're starving, because you may end up picking all the starters and everything. By the time the real meal comes, you're full. So likewise, when you are dating, don't be too desperate. Don't just want to fulfill the status of getting a husband or a wife. Know that you want to build a relationship that can make you happy and
Yes.
do it in the right way.
Yes. One of the challenges that we are facing today is that I don't know whoever invented courtship. That person had an idea that people need time to know each other, learn each other, know the expectations, and see if both of you are actually meant for each other. But instead of that, we have this thing called romantic love, where the emphasis is now on fondling, it's on kissing, it's on sex or making love. But they are not patient to wait for marriage anymore. There is nothing about honeymoon anymore. It's just a formality because the honey has already been eaten.
Yes.
Yes.
Any other?
I would also want to say it's very, very important to be mature.
Right.
And don't look at the age, Sunny. A lot of people
Yes.
write themselves off because they think they are over age. So when we are talking about dating and courting, maturity counts. And maturity comes with understanding what is a marriage. When you are saying you want to get a spouse or a life partner, what are you really saying? Because when you don't understand what that means, you may end up wasting so much time of the other person who is very willing and ready to get a spouse or someone they can say my husband or my wife.
My wife, Mike.
Much as people say, it's my life. We have a lot of individualism coming in. Democracy is telling us you are a person who has got your own legal rights. Other people don't matter. You are the person who matters. But I think for marriage, let us still involve our parents.
Yes.
It's still very important. Let's involve our spiritual fathers, our pastors, the clergymen. They will have an idea to help us. And when necessary, it's very important to go for premarital counseling.
Yes, that's
so that it's not like it's my life, it's my marriage. When it hits against the rocks, you still find you now want to go to the parents and say, Mom and Dad, things are not working. You now want to go to the pastor, things are not working. But when you were working towards having that marriage, they were not important. Let them be important. Even though we are in the .com era, there are certain traditions that are still good enough for us.
Yes, unfortunately, our time has run out, but I've thoroughly enjoyed this discussion. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope that you can join us again sometime next week. Until next time, God bless.